Probably no wild animal is more commonly known than the eastern gray squirrel. It is now found as often in city parks and gardens as in its native forests. The gray squirrel is a member of the squirrel family, a group of rodents that includes the ground squirrels and flying squirrels, woodchucks and other marmots, prairie dogs, and chipmunks. More than 250 living species and about 50 genera are known in the squirrel family. They are found in most tropical and temperate regions of the world except Australia, Madagascar, and the major desert regions of Africa. Like other rodents, the species in the squirrel family have 4 large incisor teeth, an upper and a lower pair, for gnawing. These teeth grow throughout the life of the animal. Some species have cheek pouches where they can temporarily hold food, such as grain, and then deposit it later for storage in a nest or burrow. The tree squirrels bury nuts in the ground for later consumption. Many of these nuts are never found, and the dispersal of many plant species is an indirect consequence. The uneaten seeds and nuts germinate and grow into new plants. Squirrels have large eyes, a coat of short fur, and bushy tails. The eyes of the nocturnal flying squirrels are particularly enlarged in order to gather more light for better night vision. Some species in the squirrel family bark or make loud, high-pitched chirping or whistling sounds to communicate among themselves for purposes of courtship, territorial display, or as alarm calls in response to the presence of predators. Individuals of some species are solitary except during reproductive phases. Individuals of other species are highly gregarious and colonial. Members of the squirrel family have 5 toes on their hind feet and 4 long digits plus a short, stubby thumb on their front feet. All squirrels have strong hind legs. Some species are quite dexterous and agile. The various tree-climbing species are especially adept at grasping limbs and other vegetation, making great leaps between branches and cushioning a fall by flattening their bodies and spreading their tail fur. The flying squirrels have a large membrane, or loose flap of skin, connecting their front and hind legs. During a long jump, this membrane is spread out, allowing the animal to glide for long distances. The squirrel maneuvers itself in flight by raising or lowering the membrane on one side or the other. It can make banking curves or even turn at right angles in mid-flight. Just before the animal lands on a tree trunk, the tail is curved upward and used as a brake so that the squirrel will be upright when it reaches the tree. Although the distance of most glides is no more than a few feet, the giant flying squirrel has been known to glide more than 1,300 feet, 400 meters, between trees. All members of the squirrel family can run, but most are not exceptionally fast on the ground, particularly in comparison to their enemies, such as hawks or members of the cat family. The terrestrial species rely instead on underground refuges for escape from predators. The tree-climbing forms depend on their agility in the trees, or they retreat to hiding places in nests or tree cavities. Chipmunks will dart into rock crevices or tree holes if danger threatens. Tree squirrels may be found in heavily wooded areas or in areas where only a few large trees are present, such as around farms or in city parks. The animals spend most of their time in trees, but they will descend to the ground to search for acorns or other nuts, to feed on the shoots of young plants, or to move between trees that are far apart. Tree squirrels are active primarily during the day and spend their nights asleep in trees. Most of them build nests of leaves and twigs, usually in the high branches of the tallest trees. Some tree squirrels build temporary nests that may be used for only one night. The animals also usually have several different places to which they can retreat during inclement weather or to avoid detection by predators. The ground-dwelling members of the squirrel family usually live in burrows. Prairie dogs and various ground squirrels live in open prairies. Marmots are most commonly seen on open grassy hillsides or meadows that may be alongside forests or in rocky areas. Some species dig their own intricate burrows, while others will use almost any available space. A hole in the ground, an opening between rocks, or a hollow in a low-lying tree or stump. Prairie dogs are communal and create large burrow systems that all members of the colony can use. The burrow systems of marmots can be quite extensive and may have several openings to the outside. The length of these tunnels can be more than 330 feet, 100 meters, and those in which the animals hibernate are often more than 16.5 feet, 5 meters, beneath the Earth's surface. Most members of the squirrel family have 1 or 2 small litters each year. In the typical reproductive cycle of the several species of tree squirrels that have been studied, the males compete for available females. Following mating and fertilization, the gestation period lasts for about 38 to 44 days. The young are hairless and helpless at birth and are nursed by the mother. They grow hair after about 2 weeks, and the eyes open after 4 to 5 weeks. They leave the nest to be on their own 6 to 8 weeks after birth and are ready to breed the following year. Some tree squirrels have 2 litters a year that average about 3 young each. Ground squirrels have a single litter a year that averages from 4 to 9 young. The New World flying squirrels normally have 2 to 4 young twice a year, following a gestation period of 5 to 6 weeks. The young open their eyes before they are 4 weeks old and leave the nest about 2 months after birth. Little is known about the reproductive habits of most other species of squirrels, particularly the tropical forms that are less common and more difficult to study. The giant flying squirrel of Malaysia usually gives birth to only 1 or 2 young in a litter. The dwarf flying squirrels from the same region have only 1 to 3 young. They are born with fur, their eyes are open, and they are able to eat solid food. Some of the tropical species of squirrels are known to bear young several times during a year. Most members of the squirrel family have 1 or 2 small litters each year. In the typical reproductive cycle of the several species of tree squirrels that have been studied, the males compete for available females. Following mating and fertilization, the gestation period lasts for about 38 to 44 days. The young are hairless and helpless at birth and are nursed by the mother. They grow hair after about 2 weeks, and the eyes open after 4 to 5 weeks. They leave the nest to be on their own 6 to 8 weeks after birth and are ready to breed the following year. Some tree squirrels have 2 litters a year that average about 3 young each. Ground squirrels have a single litter a year that averages from 4 to 9 young. The New World flying squirrels normally have 2 to 4 young twice a year, following a gestation period of 5 to 6 weeks. The young open their eyes before they are 4 weeks old and leave the nest about 2 months after birth. Little is known about the reproductive habits of most other species of squirrels, particularly the tropical forms that are less common and more difficult to study. The giant flying squirrel of Malaysia usually gives birth to only 1 or 2 young in a litter. The dwarf flying squirrels from the same region have only 1 to 3 young. They are born with fur, their eyes are open, and they are able to eat solid food. Some of the tropical species of squirrels are known to bear young several times during a year. Squirrels are primarily herbivorous, eating young shoots, buds, berries, tree bark, and other vegetation. Many consume large quantities of seeds and nuts. Some will eat insects or other invertebrates when they are available, and a few have been known to eat bird eggs and small vertebrates. Flying squirrels have been captured in traps baited with meat. Several species of squirrels are known to hoard grain or nuts to eat during the winter. Some may have highly specialized diets. The Barbary ground squirrel of northern Africa, for example, subsists on the fruits and seeds of a single species of tree. In tropical and warm temperate regions of the world, squirrels are active year-round, but those living in colder climates become inactive for varying periods of time. The woodchuck, or groundhog, of North America may remain active for most of the year in the southern regions, but individuals in the far north may hibernate for several months at a time. The potential lifespans of some species of the squirrel family are known from captive specimens and, in a few instances, from studies of natural populations. Perhaps the longest-lived species is the eastern gray squirrel. An individual in the wild was recorded to have reached an age of 12 years, and one in captivity at the San Diego Zoo lived for more than 23 years. The tiny antelope ground squirrels of the American Southwest have been kept in captivity for up to 4 years, but the lifespan of those in the wild is believed to be about a year or less. The European marmot is believed to live for up to 15 years. Once an eastern chipmunk has reached adulthood in the wild, it will usually live for 2 or 3 years, though individuals have been kept for up to 8 years in captivity. Red-tailed chipmunks of northwestern North America may live to be 5 to 8 years old in the wild. Members of the squirrel family. Representatives of the squirrel family include some species, such as the eastern gray squirrel and some of the chipmunks, that are among the most common and thoroughly studied mammals in the United States and in certain other inhabited areas of the world. On the other hand, The life history and everyday behavior of other members of the family is poorly understood because of the animal's rarity or inaccessibility. This is true, for example, for many of the tropical species, such as the 3 species of Celebes dwarf squirrels, genus Prochyurillus, and the neotropical montane squirrels, genus Cynthiocyrus, of which only 3 specimens are known. Consequently, the following discussion is far from comprehensive. It describes only some of the more common and better understood members of the squirrel family. The gray squirrel of the eastern United States and Canada, Sciurus carolinensis, is representative of the more than 24 species of the genus Sciurus, which includes the most common tree squirrels of the world. Gray squirrels can be readily observed running along branches, jumping from branch to branch, or searching the ground for food or for a suitable burial place for nuts. Gray squirrels do not hibernate in winter, but they may become dormant in their nests or dens during extreme cold spells. During its lifetime, the eastern gray squirrel occupies a very small home range, less than 1.2 acres, 0.5 hectare. However, gray squirrels have been reported to make occasional mass migrations of several miles, even across major rivers, though the reasons for such movements are not understood. The eastern gray squirrel has been notably successful in adapting to life in urban areas. No other undomesticated mammal in North America has been as successful in living in harmony with humans. When the species was introduced in England and South Africa, it began to thrive and soon became an agricultural pest. Ground squirrels, genus Spermophilus, are small, brownish animals, some of which have light-colored stripes. Their head and body length is 5 to 16 inches, 13 to 41 centimeters, and their weight is less than 2 1/5 pounds, 1 kilogram. They generally live in open areas away from forests and restrict their activities to their burrows in nearby above-ground areas. They do not normally climb trees. However, many species live in rocky habitats and are adept at scampering along slopes and over boulders. Ground squirrels have cheek pouches for carrying seeds, which the animals take to their burrows for winter storage. Ground squirrels are frequently found in large numbers, but individuals of some species are numerous in a certain area simply because it is a suitable habitat. Flying squirrels are found in North America and Eurasia. They all glide by means of a parachute-like membrane along the side of the body. The 2 species of Canada, the United States, and Central America, genus Glaucomes, are generally small, secretive creatures of forests. Sometimes they will also inhabit wooded areas and residential communities, and may even nest in attics or bird boxes. Both species are active at night. As a result, their presence in an area often goes undetected. The Old World flying squirrels, genus Pteromes, are inhabitants of coniferous forests across all of Europe and Asia. They resemble the North American forms in size and behavior. Like the New World species, the giant flying squirrels of Southeast Asia, genus Pterosta, are nocturnal forest-dwelling animals. Because of their large size, they are hunted for food in some areas. The woolly flying squirrel of Pakistan, Eupatorus cinereus, is a rare species known from only a few specimens. Most of the genera and species of flying squirrels are found in Southeast Asia, particularly in Malaysia. Prairie dogs, genus Siamese, are the most sociable members of the squirrel family. The black-tailed prairie dog, C. Ludovicinus, of western North America lives in extensive colonies spread over dozens of acres and has a highly organized social system. Constant vocal communications and various forms of physical contact, such as grooming and playing, are common among inhabitants of a prairie dog village. Because of their obvious presence in an area, prairie dogs have suffered greatly from poisoning campaigns designed to eliminate them because people consider the animals agricultural pests. The numbers of all species have been greatly reduced, and at least 2 are considered to be endangered species. Chipmunks are small, primarily terrestrial members of the squirrel family. The eastern American chipmunk, Tamiya striatus, inhabits most of the eastern United States and southeastern Canada. All other species, genus Eutamias, live in western North America and Siberia. The several species are all small, 3 to 7.5 inches, 8 to 19 centimeters, in head and body length, and have 5 dark stripes alternating with light-colored ones running down the body. Chipmunks have cheek pouches that can hold large numbers of seeds, which they transport to their burrows for storage.